Okay, guys, good morning. Today is Monday, December 12th. It is your guys' last week of school. Are you guys excited to go on break for 3 weeks? No? I don't know. Why? You like school? I'm excited to go on break. Well, that's good. Yes, so today's Monday. You guys just have this full week of school, and then yes, you'll be off for 3 weeks for your winter break. Then you'll come back starting a new semester. Do you guys have any exciting plans? Celebrate Christmas. Celebrate Christmas. That's it. Huh? Go to the snow. I want to go to the snow too. Big Bear? Oh, that's cool too. Daniel, do you have any plans? To Six Flags? That's fun. Those are all fun things. You guys should be so excited. We're gonna be so excited.
I kind of like to go to the Richmond.
At Universal?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
went once, but I want to go again.
Yeah, that's cool. I've been there.
The Rich.
So let's start with our daily check-in to see how you guys are today. Anthony, how are you today? Good. Daniel, how are you? Good. David, what about you? Are you good? And Christian, are you good too? That's good, guys. So yes, one more week. But I'm also sad because then I won't be here.
Yeah, well, that is all they were gonna say.
Oh God, because tomorrow
Fine.
you guys have my schedule. And tomorrow I think it's only period 1 and 4 week. Okay. You guys have finals for both periods?
Yeah, we took two classes and then we do.
Then it goes on Thursday, right? And then Friday you guys go to all your classes?
Third one, Tuesday, third one, for Wednesday is Thursday is here and third three on the second.
Okay. At least we only have 2 today. So just a quick reminder, the COVID cases are increasing. So make sure you guys stay safe. Wear a mask if you need to. Yeah, good job, Christian. Don't be near people that are sick. Try to wash your hands as much as you can. Because right now the community level is at medium, so if it goes to high, there's a possibility that they might bring back the indoor mask. So try to be careful, try to stay safe, especially right now that you guys are not going to school. Stay healthy. So for your warm-up today, you have 2 questions. The title for your warm-up today is carrying capacity, because that is what we are going to be working with today. Carrying capacity of different types of populations. So you're going to write an answer to the following in your journal. You have 2. Well, the first one is not a question, because defining the term carrying capacity, you guys have notes in your journal for that. Or you can look it up on your phone, whatever's easier. And then number 2 says, what are some factors that can limit the growth of a population? So some things that can like stop a population from growing or like slow it down, or things that will just affect the quality of life. Something that will endanger how they succeed in the environment, how they survive. So go ahead and start with your warm-up. Start by writing down the number 1 and number 2, define the carrying capacity, and then you're naming some of the factors that can limit the growth of the population. So write both of those things on your journal, and then I'll walk around to see if you need help. If you need help, you can also raise your hand, and then I'll also go over and help you. So yeah, go ahead and get started. We'll go over it as soon as you guys are finished. That's okay. dropping it to a B2. So number one, define the term carrying capacity. Number two, what are some factors that can limit the growth of a population? For number two, you can just name like 2 or 3 factors that can limit the growth. You don't have to name a whole lot, just 2 or 3. And then once you're done, I'll go ahead and stamp it, and then we'll go over it together once everyone's finished. That means for number one.
How we doing, guys? People, LGBTQ plus, and all those others.
You ready?
Going against students today. Thursday, Friday. Well, at least we're gonna see you. Yeah, you.
So yes, you guys have that written out in your notes for the definition of carrying capacity. So just go ahead and copy that down, and then for number two, for the limiting factors, just name 2 or 3 factors you think will affect the population from growing. So let's see, for number one, you should write. Okay, so number one, you should write carrying capacity, the maximum number of individuals of a particular species that an environment can support. So that's the definition you have in your printout that's in your journal. So once you're finished, just go ahead and raise your hand and then I'll stamp it. Okay, so it says, what are some factors that can limit the growth of the population? So what are some things that will affect the population from growing? Think about some resources. What are resources that population needs to grow? Yep. You can just name like 2. For number 2, David, it says, what are some factors that can limit the growth of a population? So what are some things that can slow down how fast the population grows? What are resources? Mhm. What else?
Spaces?
Mhm. Right all the time. Right those down and come on. I know you need help anybody. Then after we finish and go over the warm up together, just leave your journals out because we might need them once we start the lesson, okay? And then if you haven't done so already, update your table of contents in your journal too, with the title and then with today's date. Today's December 12th. Thank you. Number two. Some factors that we didn't have last month or how. It looks like we're almost ready. There's only one question in our assignment that has to do with the calculation. You guys want a calculator for that one? Yeah, okay, I'll pass them out. Once they give you your assignment. We're gonna do it together too. But yeah, okay. Okay, so let's start going over our warm up. So number one says define the term carrying capacity. Let's see, who can tell me this when you wrote carrying capacity? Christian, what did you write?
That everybody can support.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, so number one should say the maximum number of individuals of a particular species that an environment can support. So the maximum number. So let's say a population went over the carrying capacity. What do you think would happen? If it went over. So let's say there was a population of 500. And there was enough resources to support those 500, and then let's say the population grew to 1,000 and doubled. What would happen? Would there be enough resources for that population to survive? No. So what do you think would happen to the population? So they would die off, right? There wouldn't be enough resources like food, water, space for them to survive. Good. Now let's look at number two. It says, what are some factors that can limit the growth of a population? So what are some things that can slow down the growth of population or stop it completely?
Food.
Food, not having enough food. Yeah, what else?
Shelter.
Shelter. Space, not having enough space. Yeah, so food, shelter, not having enough space, water. Sometimes natural disasters too, like fires, earthquakes, tornadoes, everything. All of those things can affect how the population is. Okay, so good job. We're gonna be focusing today on the carrying capacity. So let me go ahead and switch this. Our warm up. Can you guys see that okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the main focus of our lesson today is going to be carrying capacity. Okay. Now let's look at these pictures. So I'm gonna hit here. What does this say? Anything? This city is in Japan, so go ahead and look at these two pictures. What city do you guys think this is? Yeah. No, it is Tokyo. Does it remind you guys of any other city that looks like that here in the US? What city kind of has like all these billboards, digital billboards with a lot of people walking around? New York City. So it does resemble a lot of how New York City looks as well. Now let's look at all the people that are walking around here. Do you guys think this city has a very high population or very low population? High. Let's estimate how many millions, it's in the millions, how many millions of people do you guys think live in Japan? So, 100 million? Okay. It's gonna guess from there, but Christian, how many people? 100 million too? 100. 80? 80 million? Daniel, how many do you think, how many millions of people do you think in Tokyo? 80? Okay, so all of you guys are really high, but they still have a lot of people. So in Tokyo, there is a size of 37 million. Just to give you an idea, there's about 3 million people that live in Los Angeles. So imagine 37 million people in one city. So here in this city of Tokyo, how many or what are some factors that you think would limit their quality of life? What do you think would affect? Natural disasters? Yeah, what else? What are some of the limiting factors you guys need for your warm-up in number 2? What would apply to this too? Shelter, not having a place to live, what else? Food, and also right now, this is a very touristy area. So during the holidays, like right now during like Christmas or this time, a lot of people travel. So a lot of people are visiting Tokyo. So does that add to the population or does it? The more people are going. It adds to it, right? It makes the population greater. So very crowded, very populated. And we talked about some of the factors that would limit the population or that would also cause our carrying capacity to be affected. So now I'm gonna go over a few terms. So for competition, Christian, can you read that for me, please?
The competition between civil or what doesn't you think very common because they would be very for the next one.
So let's say we're looking at a population of, let's say we're doing a population of zebras. If there were another species to come in and disturb them, start taking some of their resources, will that affect them? Will that affect the quality of life of the zebras? Yeah. So that would be seen as a competition, that other species that would come into their environment to start taking their resources. So that would affect their quality of life and how they would thrive as population. Our next term is maximum. David, can you read that for me, please?
Maximum means the most or something. Will be in a specific population of the start or.
Yeah, so for carrying capacity, it's the maximum number of species we can have that will survive in specified environment, like the maximum number. So maximum just means the most you can have. Most you can have species in that certain population, in that certain environment. So now for the next ones. For warm-up, we defined carrying capacity, so we're just gonna review it again right now. So the carrying capacity of an environment is a maximum population size of a species that a particular environment normally and consistently support in terms of resources. So some of the resources we just discussed were what? Food, water, shelter, and just the amount of resources. And limiting factors, Anthony, can you read that, please?
that as the biggest.
Yes, thank you. So limiting factors is the factor that has the greatest effect in keeping down the size of a population. So whatever keeps the population at a, well, that's what a limiting factor is. And now, before we move into our assignment for today, we're going to review, we're gonna go over our learning objectives. Does anybody know what an objective is? Yeah, something we want to do, something we want to accomplish, it's like a goal. So it's our goal that we are going to reach by the end of the lesson. Can someone read that for me?
Are we able to describe what carrying capacity of different organism populations and then name some limiting factors that affect the population growth?
Perfect, thank you, Nathan. So yes, our objective for today is I will be able to describe what the carrying capacity is for different organism populations and name some limiting factors that affect the population growth. So that's our goal by the end of the lesson, okay? We'll come back to this once we finish our assignment to see the information. So now I'm going to pass out the assignment we will be working on today. So as soon as I give it to you, just write your name and then we'll start going over it together, okay? So just write your name. And then we will go over it together. Your name. Anthony name? Christian name? Daniel name too? Okay. Let's look at that first paragraph right under it says carrying capacity. It says under favorable conditions, the population of a species in any given area will grow. This, of course, cannot continue forever. A limiting factor is anything that prevents a population from growing. So some of the factors we mentioned right now are food, water, shelter, space, natural disasters. Limiting factors can be biotic, such as how much prey is available in the area, or abiotic, such as the amount of available sunlight or space. So what is abiotic? Is it living or non-living? Non-living. So abiotic is non-living, so biotic is what? Living. Biotic is living and abiotic is non-living. Good job. Over time, limiting factors can change. So that means that if a population has certain limiting factors like food and water right now, let's say next year, the limiting factors for that population can be like natural disasters, not enough space. So they can always change and not constant forever. For example, a population, sorry. For example, a population of deer may be limited by the amount of hunting in 1 year. The next year, though, they might be limited by the number of mature females available to give birth. So remember, the limiting factors of population always change. Below the factors. So do you guys see it right under that where it says case study 1? Yes. Okay, it says in Alaska, grizzly bears must eat 10 fish. So how many fish? And drink up to 25 liters. How many liters? Of water to live. A local river can provide about 150 fish a day without damaging the fish population. So how many fish can the local river provide per day? Yeah, 150. So let's look at the first question in that case. Question number 1. David, can you repeat?
What is the limiting factor of food for population?
Yes, what is the limiting factor for this population? There's two limiting factors. So the first one, I'll give you a hint. What are the bears trying to eat?
Fish.
Fish. So that's your first limiting factor for number one, okay? So you can write fish. And what are they drinking?
Water.
Water. So fish and water are the two limiting factors for number one. Go ahead and write that in. Number two, Christian, can you read it, please?
How many bears can this area support?
Yes, it's asking how many bears can this area support? So for this question, we're dividing, okay? So we're gonna do a quick dividing. Follow the calculation. So let me give you a calculator so we can go ahead and solve that together. So this question is asking me how many bears in this area support? Okay, so the first thing we're looking for is. So how many fish can the local river provide every day? 150. So we're gonna start with the 150, that's our top number. That's the number we're dividing. So 150 divided by how many fish a day can the bears eat? 10. Good job. So we're dividing that by 10. So plug that into your calculator, right? 100, type in 150 divided by 10. Tell me what you get.
What's that word?
50.
Tell me.
50 minutes.
15. Yes,
Is it divided by?
yeah, 150 divided by 10. So 150 divided by 10 is 15. So for number two, where it says how many bears can this area support, go ahead and write this area can support 15 bears. Number two. Read up. Okay, the third question, the last question for case study number one says, what will happen if the bear population exceeds this number? So they're talking about if it exceeds 15 bears. So remember, this just means that what will happen if the bears exceed their carrying capacity? So remember, carrying capacity is just the maximum number of species that an environment can support with the resources that are there. So if it were to increase, if it were to go over, if there would be more than 15 bears in this population, what do you guys think would happen? Let's say you got to 30 bears, what would happen then?
Population.
Why?
Because, limited food and water.
Limited food and water, so what are these resources called? Limiting what? Limiting factors, great job. Yes, so if the bear population exceeds 15 bears, the population would decline. So you can write any of these reasons, okay? They're all correct. So you can write the population will decline, we will not have enough resources, they will not have enough food, water, space to survive. Okay, so any of those reasons are correct. For this one, what is the limiting factor? It's vision. Number three, you can write any of the reasons we said, so you can write, the population of the decline, you can write, we would not have any resources. Oh, you see the calculation? Okay, everybody got the questions for case study 1 to 3? Okay, let's look at case study 2 now. Case study 2. Christian, can you read that for me, please? Yeah, number 2.
Roasted the sandwich where there are that will be able to connect the sunlight, water, and soil with that it needs to live. Although many small plants may sprout in a forest, many will die as the flooded out by your nature trees with the sun.
Perfect, thank you. Yes. So case study 2, we're talking about seedlings. Seedlings are just baby plants that just sprouted. So it says the amount of space in which a seedling grows determines whether or not that tree will be able to collect enough sunlight, water, and soil nutrients that it needs to live. Although many small plants may sprout in a forest, many will die as they are crowded out by more mature trees which block the sun. Okay. So number 4, David, can you start? Question 4.
What are the important resources? Seeding needs to be developed.
Thank you. Yes, what are the important resources a seedling needs to live? So if you look at that first sentence in case study number 2, it tells you all the resources that a seedling needs to live. So who can read those? The first sentence in case study number 2. Sunlight, what else?
Water,
Sunlight, water,
soil nutrients.
and soil nutrients. So those are the 3 things that a seedling needs to live, that it needs to survive. So that's what you're writing for number 4. Sunlight, water, and soil nutrients. Soil. Everyone got that one? Number 4? Yeah, okay, let's look at number 5. Anthony, can you read that please?
What is the?
Population? What is the limiting factor for the population in this study? So first, what's our population in case study number 2? What are we talking about? The what? What is the little plant called? What is this called? Seedlings. Seedlings. So that's our population, okay? So what is the limiting factor for our seedlings? So what will affect it from growing?
Daylight.
Sunlight? And
And water.
you can write, so for number 5, Some living factors that will affect the seeding are sunlight because other trees can go ahead and block that from them. Water is another one. Soil, not having enough nutrients from the soil. So one that you for sure have to write down is sunlight. Number 5, and then you can either write water or soil nutrients, not having enough space. Just write 2 factors, 2 living factors for number 5. Yeah. And you write one. Yeah. So what's a limiting factor again? What is a limiting factor do?
It's return resources.
It limits the resources and it affects the population. Everybody got number 5? Okay, let's look at number 6. Christian, can you read number 16?
Right. Brainstorm. Name another population that might be limited by this same factor. How will it limit and growth?
Perfect, thank you. So number 6 says, name another population that might be limited by the same factor. So what are the factors we wrote down for number 5? Sunlight, water, soil nutrients, space. So what's another population that might be affected by these same factors? It could be another plant, another tree. What do you guys think is also that can get affected by sunlight, not having enough sunlight? What grows from the soil?
See,
Correct, something different.
so nutrients.
Something that grows from the soil. So what grows from the ground? What do we need to eat to be healthy? Vegetables, does that grow from the soil? Yeah, so if vegetables don't get enough sunlight, will they grow? No, so the number 6, you can write vegetables. What else? You can write trees, you can write flowers. Yeah, number 6. So you can write any other population besides seedlings that you think will also get affected by not having enough sunlight. B, E, C, E. Fruits, vegetables, trees, flowers, anything that grows from the ground needs sunlight to grow. So anything that needs sun will be affected. Everybody wrote down number 6? Christian, you're still working?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
Right.
There? Okay, so now turn your assignment over to the back side. You guys see case study number 3? Yeah, yes? Okay. So you're gonna do case study number 3 on your own or with a partner. It's up to you, okay? So what would we do first? In case study number 3, what's the first thing we would do? Read what? The little paragraph, right? The little scenario that I have. Okay, after we read that, we have to determine what our combination is, what we're talking about. Okay, so after we read it, after we figure out what our population is, what should we do next? Read the questions. Yeah, we didn't answer the questions. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and get started with number 3. You can work independently, you can work with a partner. So the first thing you're going to do is read the case study and determine your population. Then you can move on to the questions. And then in about 5 minutes, or you guys finish sooner, we'll go over the answers together, okay? If you need help, just raise your hand and then I'll walk over to you. What was the moving factor in this scenario? So what caused population?
So it's not like we need a concept like that for the.
So her. Oh, this number eight, so you
This like the means. Set factor for the.
So Willis might be a constant factor for the parent population. So it's asking you if you think herd will affect the parent population. Very. The herd can happen all the time.
Sometimes.
So will it affect the parents all the time? They only happen sometimes.
What happens? With this?
Yeah, but sometimes. So we will think it all the time. No. Because we're not. It says, will this likely be a constant factor than the area population? So saying you think hurricanes will affect the parents all the time. Because hurricane only happens sometimes, right? So you think it will happen in the time. Okay, let's go over case study number 3. So Christian, can you read case study number 3, please?
hurricanes can have a huge impact on the environment they affect. Animals that may be killed or have their habitats destroyed by intense winds and rainfall. In 1989, Hurricane Hugo reduced the endangered Puerto Rican terrorist population to have its
Perfect, thank you. So yes, case study 3 is talking about what? What is my population in case study 3? What are these?
The variant.
Puerto Rican parents, yes. So now let's look at question number 7. It said, what was the limiting factor in this scenario? So what affected the parents? Hurricane Hugo affected the parents. Very good. If we look at number 8 now, it says, will this likely be a constant factor for the parent population? So constant means it happens very frequently, very often. So do you guys think hurricanes, these natural disasters will affect the parents all the time? Do hurricanes happen all the time? Just sometimes. So will they affect the parents all the time? No. So this factor will not affect the parents all the time. Great. Number 9 says, what other ways species might be limited by weather? So natural disasters affect the weather. What are some examples of other natural disasters that are not hurricanes? Earthquakes, tornadoes. Fires could be considered natural disasters. They're starting naturally, not intentionally. Tsunamis, yeah. So all these are other ways species can be limited by weather. So we didn't write anything, or didn't write a natural disaster into number 9. You can write tornadoes, earthquakes, you can just write one. Tornadoes, people are. So tornadoes, earthquakes, fires, tsunamis. Any of those answers will be correct for number 9. Everybody wrote something for number 9? So now that we worked on mainly the limiting factors for different populations and estimating what would happen from their carrying capacities and over. Let's go back to our learning objective. So remember that was our goal to have these lessons. So we can do that again. Go ahead, Christian.
will be able to describe what they can capacity is for different organism population and take some living factors that affect the population.
Yes, perfect, thank you. So our learning objective was, I will be able to describe what the carrying capacity is for different organism populations and name some limiting factors that affect the population growth. So what was carrying capacity again? The maximum what?
Maximum of the population.
The maximum number that an environment can support with the resources. What was a limiting factor?
The limiting resources.
Resources, yeah. So resources can be limiting factors in any population. So what are some resources? Food,
Water.
water, shelter, space, oxygen. Yep, so much. Great, good job. Okay, so now that we finished case study 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to collect your work. So go ahead and just have that ready. Perfect. Make sure your name is on it. I think all of you have name on it. Anthony, Christian, and Daniel. You guys did great, good job. So now the class will end in 3 minutes. So go ahead and put away your journal, any other